Trump administration taking new aggressive steps against journalists.
Former CNN news anchor Don Lemon was arrested last night.
Don Lemon is officially in federal custody and the charges are serious. Agents moved in just after midnight to bring him in for his role in a church protest gone wrong.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I'd been doing for the last 30 years.
The feds spent weeks trying to get this arrest warrant through different courts. Finally, a grand jury in Minnesota saw enough to pull the trigger. He wasn't just watching the chaos, he was allegedly helping plan the entire thing. This wasn't a news report, it was a targeted operation. Here is the deal. His career might be over and prison is next. Midnight raid in the City of Angels. Federal agents did not waste any time when they arrived at a hotel in Los Angeles. It was just after midnight when the quiet hallway filled with the sound of heavy boots. The target was a former CNN anchor who probably never thought he would see the inside of a jail cell. Don Lemon was pulled out of his room while still wearing his pajamas. For starters, this shows how serious the government is taking this case. They didn't wait for a polite meeting or a phone call to his lawyers. They went in and took him into custody right then and there. This news started spreading within minutes, catching everyone off guard. The arrest is tied to an event that happened over 1,000 miles away in St. Paul, Minnesota. Law enforcement sources say that federal agents had been watching his moves for a while. This wasn't just a random stop, it was a planned move to make sure he faced the music for what happened at a local church. Many people are wondering why this happened now. After all, the protest at the church happened some time ago. The reality is that the legal system takes a long time to move. Federal agents had to go through many steps before they could make this arrest. They went to 3 different groups of judges to get permission. Each time, those judges said there was not enough proof to bring him in. But federal agents did not give up. They decided to take the case to a grand jury. This is a group of regular people who listen to evidence and decide if a crime was likely committed. In a dark blue part of Minnesota, those regular citizens decided that Don Lemon needed to be arrested. This move bypassed the judges who had said no before. It turned the whole case upside down. Now, the man who used to talk about the law on television is sitting on the other side of the bars. I'm not going to lie, the images of him being taken away will stay in people's minds for a long time. It marks a huge fall for someone who was once at the top of the news world. The charges aren't just about being in the wrong place at the wrong time, they are about a deep secret plan to stop people from practicing their religion. This is a big deal in the United States. The government protects houses of worship with special laws. When those laws are broken, the punishment is very harsh. Don Lemon is now facing the possibility of spending 5 years in a federal prison. This is not a small fine or a slap on the wrist. It is a life-changing event that could end his career forever. A huge crowd of people is already arguing about if this is fair. Some say it is a double standard because other people didn't get arrested for similar things. Others say that no one is above the law, no matter how famous they are. The facts show that 3 other people from the same protest have already been taken in. One of them was even the person who organized the whole thing. The government says Don Lemon was more than just a reporter that day. They believe he was a part of the group that stormed the building. This key detail is what the whole case will depend on in court. If he was just there to record, he might be safe, but if he helped the mob, he is in big trouble. The tension in the air is thick as more details come out about that night in the hotel. People are looking for any bit of information they can find. It seems like the feds wanted to make a statement by how they handled the arrest. Taking him out in his pajamas sends a message that the fame doesn't matter anymore. He is just another person facing federal charges now. The legal battle ahead will be long and very expensive. He will have to go before a judge in Los Angeles first. Then he will be sent back to Minnesota to face the grand jury charges. This travel across the country is just the beginning of his problems. The world is watching to see what happens next in this legal drama. Hidden truth of Operation Pull-Up. Everything changed when the group known as Anti-ICE Agitators decided to target a church. This group was running something they called Operation Pull-Up. Basically, the goal was to catch people off guard and make them feel very uncomfortable. They wanted to hold people to account for things they didn't like. but they chose a place that is usually considered off-limits. They went into a Christian church while people were inside praying peacefully. This move was meant to cause chaos and disruption. Don Lemon was right there with them as the doors were pushed open. He claimed he was just doing reconnaissance for his news work, but the government thinks he knew exactly what was going to happen and helped it along. The person leading this group was Tima Armstrong. She has been involved in many protests over the last few years. She is known for organizing surprise moves that catch law enforcement and the public by surprise. Don Lemon actually talked about her work on his own videos. He said he was pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together for this resistance. He even told his viewers to stay tuned because something big was about to happen. This shows he had inside information about the crime before it even took place. In the eyes of the law, knowing about a crime and helping it happen is a major offense. That is why the word conspiracy is being used so much in the legal papers. Inside the church, the scene was very scary for the families who were there to worship. Little kids and older people had to flee as the mob started screaming and shouting. The pastor asked the group to leave many times, but they refused. Don Lemon stayed inside even after he was told to go. He kept his camera crew back until the trouble started, which looks very suspicious to investigators. It suggests he was waiting for the right moment to get the most dramatic footage. He wasn't just reporting on a news event, he was arguably helping create one. This is where the line between being a journalist and being an activist gets very blurry. What most people don't realize is that the church was targeted for a specific reason. One of the pastors there also worked for the immigration office. The protesters wanted to make him pay for his job choice. They didn't care that they were ruining a religious service for dozens of other people. They wanted to make their point no matter who got hurt or scared. This kind of behavior is exactly what the FACE Act was made to stop. This federal law protects people's right to go to church without being bullied or blocked. If you stop a religious service, you are breaking a federal law. Hands down, the most damaging evidence comes from Lemon's own social media. He posted videos that showed him talking to the leaders of the protest. He filmed himself entering the building and staying while the chaos happened. He thought he was showing the world a powerful protest. Instead, he was giving the police a roadmap of his own involvement. It is very hard to argue you were just a bystander when you are on film supporting the leaders. The feds are using his own words against him to build their case. It turns out his search for views might lead him straight to a cell. His career is hanging by a thread as the public hears the pastor's side. Evidence that sparked the arrest. So here's the deal regarding the legal side of this massive story. For a long time, it looked like Don Lemon would get away with it. 5 different federal judges looked at the case and said there wasn't enough to arrest him. This included a local judge and even 3 people from a higher court. They felt that his role as a journalist gave him some protection. They didn't want to break the rules of the First Amendment, but the Department of Justice did not stop there. They felt so strongly that a crime was committed that they took an unusual step. They went around the judges and talked to a grand jury. This is almost never done when multiple judges have already said no. The grand jury is made up of 23 regular people from the community. They don't have to follow the same strict rules as a single judge. They just have to believe that it is more likely than not that a crime happened. When they saw the secret videos and heard the witness stories, they changed their minds. They saw a man who wasn't just holding a microphone. They saw someone who was part of a secret plan to attack a house of worship. They issued an indictment, which is a formal charge of a crime. This gave the agents the power they needed to fly to Los Angeles and grab him. The main charge is a secret plan to break the FACE Act. This law is very specific about protecting churches. To prove a secret plan, the feds just need to show that 2 or more people agreed to do something illegal. Then they need to show that at least one person took a step to make it happen. In this case, the agreement was to storm the church. The step was actually going inside and stopping the service. Since Lemon was there and seemed to support the move, he is being held responsible for the whole thing. It doesn't matter if he didn't personally scream at the pastor. Being part of the group is enough under federal law. That's putting it lightly when you consider the political heat around this. Many people are saying this is a double standard. They point to other times when journalists were attacked or arrested and no one cared. They mention names like Andy Ngo or James O'Keefe who face threats while doing their jobs. Those people say that the law is only being used now because the government doesn't like Lemon's politics. On the other side, people are saying that being a journalist is not a shield. You don't get a get-out-of-jail-free card just because you have a camera. If you help a mob break into a building, you have to face the results. The evidence is being kept under lock and key for now. But we know that the feds have hours of video from inside the church. They have interviewed the families who were terrified that morning. They have the records of the meetings between the protest leaders. All of this adds up to a very strong case for the government. Don Lemon is going to have a hard time explaining why he was so close to the people breaking the law. He can't just say he was a reporter if he was also a cheerleader for the mob. The legal system is moving fast to bring this case to a final close. Things get even crazier as the legal process moves toward the actual trial. Don Lemon will have to face a judge in Minneapolis where the incident occurred. This is a big deal because the people in that city are the ones who felt the trouble firsthand. The jury will be made up of his peers from that area. If those people feel like their community was harmed, they might not be very nice to him. He is currently being held in federal custody until he can be moved. He will likely be released on his own promise to return, but he will have to travel back for every court date. This will be a constant reminder of the trouble he is in. The penalty for this kind of crime is up to 5 years in prison. That is 5 years away from his family and his career. For a man who is 60 years old, that is a huge part of his remaining life. There is also the possibility of huge fines that could reach hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even if he doesn't go to prison, his reputation is likely ruined. Most news companies will not want to hire someone who has been found guilty of a federal crime. He might have to find a whole new way to make a living once this is all over. Don Lemon is facing a long road ahead in the legal system. Do you think a famous journalist should get special treatment, or should he face the same 5-year sentence as everyone else? Please like and subscribe for more.